Welcome back to the college football segment here on Fullbacks of Sports. It's your host, Hector Rodriguez Jr. I'm here with Mikey and Andrew. Guys, how are you doing?
Good. What's up?
Doing great. One more Saturday till real football starts.
Yep. I mean, for one person on the show, it's not even Saturday. It's more like Thursday. You know, I'm pretty sure we're all excited for college football to finally be back. But I know Mikey's a little bit more excited because his Miami Hurricanes are going to try to pull off the upset against UAB. Mikey, how are you feeling?
The upset. I like how you put that. I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited for this year. I mean, we got a little taste of it on Saturday with a couple of games out there. I got to see our competition on Saturday. When we get to play the UAB on Thursday. They look pretty good, but we're Miami, so I think we're going to end up getting the best out of them.
Yeah, there was a little bit of football going on this week. No really big games. You know, it was like SMU versus Texas State. You know, if it was a regular year, no one would pay attention. It probably wouldn't even be on ESPN. But just the fact that there has been college football and we were able to get just a little bit of college football, even though it was, you know, Group of Five or FCS football, we would gladly take it. But yeah, I mean, look, this is the first pretty kind of full week because the Big 12 and SEC do not play this week. But this is the first Power 5 conference that's going to play. It's the ACC. How are you guys feeling? Mikey, I already know how you're feeling, but Drew, how are you feeling for having, you know, college football finally back after this break that feels like decades?
Well, finally get to see my Notre Dame Irish get to compete again. They're playing in the ACC, so that's historic coming from being independent for many years since like the beginning of college football. But, you know, we're going to bring that tempo, and I'm just excited to see what we could do finally in a conference.
Yeah, that's right. Notre Dame's finally in a conference. Should be fun for you guys. But, I mean, I'm honestly just excited for college football to be back. You know, the team – I've always covered the Florida Gators, so we still have 2 more weeks before they take on the Ole Miss Rebels on the road. But I'm actually going to be tuned in this Saturday. I'm like a kid on Christmas. You know, we get to have college football. And you know what, let's just jump right into it. This is the preseason podcast for the college football season. So we're going to be giving you some previews. You know, we're going to be talking we're going to give you predictions for our conference, you know, championship conference winners. We're going to give us our college football playoff brackets, our Heisman winners, and then we're going to go into Mikey's going to go into the Miami game. You know, Mikey is our Miami guy here, so he will be talking about the Miami UAB game on Thursday night. And then we're going to go over week 1 game picks. A lot of what's the thing called? ACC games going to be played. So, all right, let's jump right on into it. ACC, since they're going to play now, let's talk about the ACC. Mikey, you know, let's talk about it. Who do you think's going to come out of the ACC in that conference championship?
I mean, obviously you have your regulars, and you have a couple teams that are out there that are on the up and coming. You got North Carolina, in my opinion, is probably one of the better surprises, especially after last year. They have Sam Howell, they have a good offense, and then just the recruiting job that Mac Brown has done for last year, or I guess you could say for the freshmen that are coming in this year, and then the freshmen that are coming in next year. This team is going to be trouble for years to come, but this year, I'm thinking out of this conference, I'm sticking to my guns. I don't want to sound too biased as a Miami fan, but I feel like with Derek King and the offense that we put around him, I'm sorry, Cam as our running back, he's actually, I've seen reports and I've seen a lot of stuff of him at the scrimmages. He's actually killing it. Derek King last scrimmage had 6 touchdowns. He threw for over almost 400 yards. He ran for a touchdown as well. Our young receiving core, I think – I'm not even Harley. He's a junior, you know, and he's right now our best receiver. And we got some young sophomores and freshmen that are leading the way at the receiving side. Obviously, a lot of people are always going to pick with Clemson, and I'm going to pick Miami as the ACC championship, I guess you could say, matchup. And we're going to see an early test because Miami and Clemson do play each other around week 2, if I'm not mistaken, week 3. So we're going to see that early on in the season, and we're going to see how that, you know, goes along, how both teams fare throughout the rest of the year, and hopefully they meet again at the end of the year.
Drew?
I'm gonna get right after it. I've been watching the ACC from afar because Notre Dame has to play them throughout the, they do a mini schedule each year now because they play other sports in the ACC. But I'm just gonna get it over with. Clemson is gonna win that division, conference in the ACC, and I got them going against Notre Dame. I really see them. Notre Dame's gonna probably lose to Clemson in the first round, and then they're gonna play in the championship, lose again. That might hurt them, which we're gonna cover later in the Final Four. But yeah, I really feel Clemson's gonna come out strong. Trevor Lawrence is gonna be the first overall draft pick next year, and it's Clemson's conference to win.
Yeah, I'm going to continue going with Clemson. Clemson is just so dominant right now. You know, Trevor Lawrence is the absolute difference maker. He's the best quarterback in college football. So yeah, I think Clemson wins that division, wins that conference, and I think they will be matched up against Notre Dame. However, I would not be surprised if it's the Tar Heels. I'm a big Sam Howell fan. I think the kid is very good. And I think, with the recruiting job that Mac Brown has done, he has just completely closed off the state of North Carolina. He's going to bring in guys, and he's already brought in top-tier talent. And, in fact, the number one corner who was part of the 2021 class, Tony Grimes, has now decided he's actually with the team right now. He signed the paperwork, and he enrolled very early. He'll be eligible this year. I think that kid, maybe not this year because he's technically still be in high school, but maybe the next year he'll be a real difference maker in that conference. But I still think Clemson runs away with it because they're just flat out better than maybe everybody else in the country. All right, so we're going to move on to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 actually do have some games this week. So let's talk about the Pac-12. Who do you think meets up in the championship, and who do you think comes up on top? Mikey again.
Well, for the Pac-12, if they start playing and everything like that, I'm probably looking into maybe a sleeper pick in UCLA and obviously Oregon on the conference championship. But
Big 12.
Big 12. Oh, I heard Pac. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I said Pac. I meant big, if anything.
I probably understood. That's my fault. But Big 12, I have Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma, I think, in my opinion, is going to end up coming up on top. And Texas is probably a close number 2. I don't think anybody else is close to Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma, in my opinion, has probably the best defense in a conference that isn't known for their defense and it's just known for their offense. So, with especially with their new quarterback in Rattler, he's going to take over the helm. They have Warsham, which is somebody that plays at wide receiver. Miami missed out on him last year for recruiting, but he looks like he's going to be their top receiver there in that team. And having Riley as a coach, that's going to be my difference maker at the end of the day in that conference. So Oklahoma's my pick.
I'm also going to go with Oklahoma versus Texas. I just see Oklahoma, man, they had Baker Mayfield, Kyle Murray, Jalen Hurts. They have all these quarterbacks that come out there. They're a really good program. We don't have the Pac-12 right now as we speak, as we're doing this podcast, and the Big Ten are also coming late to college football. So this is a really good platform for the Big 12 to really step up and be in the Final Four when they pick in the selection committee. I really see Oklahoma going undefeated and then beating Texas again in the championship, which, sets them up to have a really good automatic bid moving forward. That's just the way I see it. Oklahoma's very, very strong again this year.
Yeah, I still think Oklahoma runs that conference. Oklahoma, even though he doesn't have he hasn't added a big-time transfer, he does have a redshirt freshman in Spencer Rattler, who was a top quarterback coming out of high school. He's starting this year. I still think he's going to be very good. If you watched him on QB1 on Netflix, you know the type of player he is. So I think Oklahoma wins that conference, but the team that they'll be playing against in the conference championship will be Oklahoma State. I do not believe in Texas. Texas is not back. I think they had one nice year, and I think that's it. I like Oklahoma State. I like their passing attack, but overall, I love their running game. Shelby Purdy is arguably the best running back in the country, and I think that could be a difference maker. I think Oklahoma State's going to do a good job of controlling the clock when they play against tough teams like Texas and Texas Tech and Baylor. Baylor, I think, is going to take a step back this year because they lost their head coach. He's now with the Carolina Panthers. That's the new head coach for the Panthers. All right, we're gonna switch on up to the SEC. The SEC should be a fun matchup. This is usually, one of the conferences that This is usually the conference that holds up, team that has a team that goes to the national championship. So, guys, who do you think is going to be in the conference championship, and who do you think comes out on top in that conference, starting with Mikey?
I just wanted to back up. I said Worsham as the wide receiver of Oklahoma. It's actually Hazelwood. That was my fault. But moving on from the SEC, it was pretty close because it was tough. Yeah, I hate UF, but I have them as a close one, and I'm not saying that to you that because I'm talking with you, Hector, but I think Georgia and Alabama come out in the conference championship, and I think Georgia gets the best of Alabama, and they'll probably stop them. I know Alabama's still strong. They got Najee Harris. It's just that new quarterback out there. Nick Saban is still the coach of the year and probably one of the best coaches to ever coach in college football history. But JT Daniels and Georgia has the upper hand when it comes to that quarterback position or that quarterback matchup. So I see Georgia coming out on top from the SEC this year.
I too, as well, have Alabama versus Georgia. I mean, no disrespect to Florida. Again, I also said I'm coming from Chicago, so a lot of this is a little bit different from you guys, Florida. But from my perspective, it's going to be Alabama versus Georgia. I really like that matchup, and Bama's going to come up on top. I mean, they have been the powerhouse for the last 10 or 12 years. I've seen them spank Notre Dame, in a championship. Nothing's changed in Alabama. They're still one of the best, and I think they're going to come up on top against Georgia. I'm really interested to see what Hector has to say because I feel like it's going to be different from our picks. Go ahead, Hector. Let us hear it.
You're absolutely right. It's going to be different. I don't know what football you've been watching. I mean, JT Daniels is not the quarterback he was coming out of high school. I mean, he got replaced USC's a dumpster fire. He got replaced as a starter. It's going to be Florida versus Alabama. Florida's got the upper hand here when it comes to Florida, Georgia. The talent gap has closed, and also Florida keeps their quarterback, has a returning quarterback. JT Daniels hasn't even been able to practice because he's been hurt. He hasn't even been able to clear for contact. So when you look at Georgia, you have a coach that continues to underperform with the talent that he has. You have a brand new offensive coordinator, and by the way, that quarterback just came in the summer, so he hasn't really had a chance to learn the system. You're replacing pretty much your entire offensive line. That's a big issue. Florida lost one guy, and they replaced it by adding a guy from Mississippi State that has started for the past 3 years, has over 34 starts under his belt. So when you look at it, I look at Florida's talent. They kept their entire coaching staff, except for the tight end coach, and you can argue that they upgraded with the hire of Tim Brewster. While Georgia is picking up the pieces, their offense I don't think is ready for it. I think Florida wins it this year, and I still think Alabama ends up winning in the conference championship. But I think this is the year Florida finally takes over. Dan Mullen, whenever it comes to quarterbacks and Dan Mullen, you're always going to take Dan Mullen with quarterbacks because of what he's done with quarterbacks. And also, don't forget, Kyle Trask is the best quarterback in the SEC, returning quarterback in the SEC. Nobody put up numbers better than him. The only guy that even had numbers better than him was not Tua. He would have if he would have stayed healthy. It was only Joe Burrow.
And as you know, he won the Heisman, right? Was that the Heisman one last year? Was that him?
Yes. You got him wrong in the game show, but
right?
Yes.
Hey, we didn't air that episode, all right? So no one has to know that.
Yeah. Sebastian, edit this out.
Isn't just a quick question, just because I remember looking at the schedule, isn't Georgia playing Florida this year too?
Yeah, they're on the East. They play each other every year.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's in a neutral site.
Okay.
They always play in Jacksonville.
All right, because I'm more of a Big Ten enthusiast and Notre Dame, obviously. So I just want to make sure. So yeah, I mean that could obviously be a game changer right there. I mean, It kind of makes me excited hearing you talk about Florida, just because it reminds me of NCAA football, and we're getting close to it coming back. I'm just like, man, if it keeps up this way, it's just like NCAA stop producing video games, and then it comes back, and then boom, Florida somehow is still amazing in NCAA. I just find that crazy. There was a huge gap, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the times are coming.
Yeah. All right. So now here we go. We're going to talk. We're going to go with college football playoff brackets. So there are 4, as everybody knows, there's 4 teams, and we're going to change things up. Right now 2 Power 5 conferences aren't playing, but let's say they do end up playing. So we're going to go with the 4 teams that are currently playing. They're scheduled to play, and then afterwards we're going to name our number 5 team. We'll call it our number 5. That's either a Big Ten or a Pac-12 team. So, Mikey, who do you have going to the college football playoffs?
Well, my top 4 originally, even if they play or not. I have Clemson at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Georgia number 3, and 4 with Alabama. So I have the SEC championship in my prediction as those 2 teams still being the top ones. I have my 5th team. It's a sleeper. Well, in a way, because if we're talking about ACC, I obviously, me being a Miami fan, I have that. But North Carolina, as we talked about, you and I, Hector, North Carolina is a big sleeper to me. If they can keep it up and actually play well this whole entire year, they can well enough just sneak into it. I really loved your prediction when you said, Clemson and North Carolina might see each other. I know you picked Notre Dame, but it was a prediction as well. But another team that I had coming in, UF. That was my 3rd best team in SEC. So UF might be I guess you could say, I'm going to go on an extra team and say the 6th team in the college football playoffs.
All right, Drew, what do you got?
I got 1 Alabama. These are my 4 that I got going. I got 1 Alabama, 2 Clemson, 3 Oklahoma, and then I got Notre Dame versus Georgia as of today, fighting for that 4th spot. I really believe Notre Dame can actually come back and be in the 4th. I just hope that if we do get that matchup against Clemson or Alabama, it changes a little bit different. I still like Georgia, even though, as you said, their pieces are still tying together. And then my wild card, I guess, if the Pac-12 continues or the Big Ten comes back in, I really like Oregon as my sleeper pick as far as like just a wild card coming thrown in there, the top 4.
All right, so my college football playoff, I got number 1, Clemson, number 2, Alabama, number 3, Oklahoma, and number 4 is going to be the Florida Gators. It's usually 2 SEC teams. So my SEC championship was Florida and Alabama, so I'm going to put those guys in. The conference winner from the Big 12 will be Oklahoma, and ACC, Clemson's probably going to run away with it. And my wild card team, let's say Big Ten actually does play in the Pac-12, I'm going to go with Ohio State because that's just a powerhouse right there. Justin Fields is somehow still there, and he hasn't declared for the draft yet. While you look at Oregon lost their top player, Penny Sewell, the offensive tackle. He actually just announced today. We're recording on Monday, so he announced today that he was going to sit out and declare for the NFL draft. So that's my pick there. If it is a Pac-12 team, it's going to be Oregon, but I'm almost certain if the Big Ten plays, Ohio State's going to be the team coming out of that conference. And then I would probably replace them with, if Florida doesn't win it, I guess Florida's out. Make it fair, 4 conference championships. All right, so Heisman winners. We're going to go into Heisman winners. We just talked about Justin Fields. If he does play, maybe he is one of the Heisman favorites. So let's talk about a Heisman. Who do you think? Give me your top 3 Heisman guys, and then pick your winner, starting with Mike.
So my first, hopefully these guys play. I mean, I know we were talking about before we started the show that Pac-12 hasn't even started, but the Big Ten is looking into getting their season started in October. Justin Fields is my number 1 pick. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out with one whole entire month if they end up playing in October. How they go about, I guess voting process with a whole month of not playing. But Justin Fields is my first pick. Second pick obviously is going to be Trevor Lawrence. If not, he'll be first. That's where I'm talking about. It's going to be interesting to see or play out how a whole month without playing football, if they'll be able to, I guess, judge stats by that. But Trevor Lawrence is also a favorite. He's going to be number 2. And then number 3, I'll probably end up going up with the running back from Clemson, Taney. That guy's returning again for another year with Clemson. He's always had, every single year that he's played with Clemson, he's always had a strong year, So having him come back in that backfield, I would see that he would have a strong year and maybe be a Heisman candidate.
Drew, what do you guys say? All right, Drew's gonna hold on for a little bit, so I'll make my pick now. All right, so my top 3 for the Heisman is gonna be Trevor Lawrence. Number 2, I'm actually gonna go with a different running back than Travis Etienne. I'm gonna go with Najee Harris, the starting running back from Alabama. I think that kid he reminds me a little bit of Derrick Henry, maybe a smaller version, and that's pretty crazy to say because Najee is a massive human being. But I'm gonna go with that one as my number 2 pick. My number 3 pick, I'm gonna go Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell, this is his breakout year. I think this his first year, he really just showed people like, hey, I'm here and I'm here to play. But I think Sam Howell really, gets a lot of more NFL attention now. Of course, if the Big Ten does end up playing, then yeah, throw in Justin Fields in the mix because that kid is going to be. That kid reminds me a little bit of Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Drew, you ready with your picks? All right, Drew's ready, so we're gonna go. Let's go, Drew.
All right, so my 3 guys that I think are going to be in the running, the top 3 runners for Heisman, I got Trevor Lawrence, Ian Book out of Notre Dame, and I really like Ian Book because, I mean, I can go into Trevor Lawrence, but we all know Trevor Lawrence has won a national championship already. I mean, he's been at the top of the college football scene, but I really like Ian Book out of Notre Dame. He had a phenomenal – he had that undefeated season before last year, where he just played phenomenal, and then it kind of like regressed last year. I think this year coming in, he's going to do really well, especially because Notre Dame has done a really great job of controlling their athletes as far as keeping them on schedule and practicing. I see that as being an advantage for him, just being normal in this crazy pandemic that we're in. And then also Justin Fields, if the Big Ten does come back, I really like Justin Fields at Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State does produce a lot of great college football players, great football players in general that go on to the NFL. Out of those 3 guys, I really like Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's for me, it's not really like it's not hard to guess because I just feel like with everything going on, it's just gonna be simple. Like it's no real craziness is gonna happen this year. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Right. If you had to pick somebody from, let's say, like the Pac-12 or the Big Ten, who would you, if they end up playing and they're thrown into the Heisman race, who would you throw in? Fields?
Yeah,
All right.
I really like Fields a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a star. I mean, I wish we didn't have this pandemic for many other reasons besides college football, but I mean, like it's coming back, and I really like Justin Fields.
Gotcha. All right. So we're talking about college football. A full slate of games pretty much starts on Saturday. However, we have one game. It's on the ACC network, and it's going to be between the Miami Hurricanes versus the UAB Blazers. So, Mikey, you're the Canes fan. Take it away. Talk to me. What you think's going to happen with the game, and if you want, you can make your game pick.
So, first of all, I really want to hear your side. So when I'm done talking, I want to hear what you have in store because, you and I always go back and forth when it comes to UF and Miami. We always get the best out of each other. But, I mean, I think this is a good warm-up game for Miami. And maybe it's not even a warm-up. UAB isn't a team that you could just walk around with and, it's not a D3 school that it's a warm-up. I guess I explained that as the wrong way. It's not a warm-up game to say, but we're going to end up having to play Clemson. We need a good team to actually go up against. This team is going to test us. This is a new offense that we're looking at. Derek King is our new quarterback. I'm excited to see that man play. Miami still has a couple questions. Me as a fan, the offensive line, we're coming off probably the worst season I've ever seen our offensive line play. And firsthand how well our offensive line played, especially with that first game of the season last year. But that being said, I feel like they will learn from their mistakes from last year as an offensive line group. These guys are bigger, they're stronger. You can't get any worse from what you played then. So I think they could take a step forward and become a better group actually together. Now, when it comes to the defensive side, we lost. We picked up Rose. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I got a little update on my thing. So we picked up Roach as a transfer from Temple. He's going to actually take over. And I think he's going to end up being that man on that line. Jalen Phillips right now coming over from UCLA. People were saying that he wasn't actually going to be playing at all. And he's actually turned into a beast. I don't know if you've seen him play or seen him practice, anything like that, but he's turned into a beast and he's actually out there on the field covering from left to the right sideline. The other question mark that I have on the UM side that I would like to see how it plays out this year is going to be the linebacking crew. This linebacking crew is a lot younger than what we used to have. Pinkney and Quarterman is gone. Those guys have been 4-year starters for Miami. Now we're going with freshmen and sophomores, and McLeod is going to be the most experienced guy there. So, in my opinion, Miami gets the best of UAB. We beat them by 3 touchdowns, but that isn't going to be it's going to be a test at the beginning of the year, first game for Miami. UAB already had their first game, so they already had their taste of being on the field. So we're going to see how we play out with them on Thursday night.
All right, so Mikey already made his pick. He's going with the Canes. Drew, who do you have winning the Week 1 matchup between the Miami Hurricanes and the UAB Blazers?
Miami, absolutely. I'm going to go with Miami on this one. I saw UAB play a little bit on ESPN. Not really – there was nothing there that really, like, made me go, oh, for sure they're going to beat Miami next week. So Miami's going to blow them out of the water. I really – it feels good, Mike, don't it?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people said about FIU last year, but I'm going to end up going with the Miami Hurricanes.
We got a different team altogether. I'm telling you. I know we argued about this all year or most of the time during the podcast, but the offensive coordinator Ray Lashley, he's actually going to open up this playbook, and we're going to be running, we're going to be gunning. We have offensive weapons left and right. Derek King can run the ball, and I'm excited for this whole entire offense, this revamped offense. The only thing, and one thing that I'm actually very scared of is Blake being our defensive coordinator, and the man. I scratch my head sometimes. I really do hope that Manny Diaz takes or puts his hand into that defense and actually tries to mold him as a defensive coordinator, because we're going to need it this year. And we do have a little bit of an experienced secondary. I'm not too worried about that, but it's just that linebacking crew and the defensive line, we have to make sure that they're always creating pressure. So, I mean, again, I'm excited for the offense, and I want to see how these guys play out. I can't wait to talk about it after Thursday or Friday. I'll be texting you guys and sending you pictures to do the chat. I promise you guys that.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going with Miami. So we're going to go with the rest of our game picks for the final segment of this show. The first game we're going to be talking about, we're going to go, by time, is Syracuse versus North Carolina. I think it's fair to say that we're all going to pick the Tar Heels to beat up on the Orange, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So, all right. So with that, we're gonna go with the over with the line. We're gonna go with the spread. Right now, UNC is 22-point favorites. Who are you gonna give the points to? You think Syracuse wins with 22, or are you gonna still go with the Tar Heels, starting with Mikey?
Yeah, I'll give them 22 points. I mean, Syracuse is a strong team, but it's gonna be a close one. But I'll give UNC the points.
UNC definitely covers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Tar Heels. They will cover. They'll probably beat them by 30 or more. Next game at 2:30 on NBC, it will be the Duke Blue Devils versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'm assuming we're all going with the Fighting Irish this game. Am I right?
Yeah, this isn't basketball. Definitely revenge gate right now. We don't, I don't want to go into it. We're just gonna take care of business Saturday, just like Miami, right? Miami, we're just gonna take care. We're just gonna take.
Mikey, Drew. They beat up, all right.
I know, but we're just taking care of business.
That's not saying much.
We're just taking care of business. Week 1, we're just gonna take care of business. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm picking Notre Dame as well. I don't think Duke. I haven't seen that. Don't get me started with last year's Duke game, but I mean, I don't see anything coming out of them that's going to change anything. They're still Duke football team. Notre Dame wins this big.
All right, so we're going to go talk. So then the spread for that game, Notre Dame is 20-point favorites. Are you still going to go with the Fighting Irish, or you think Duke keeps it under 3 touchdowns, starting with Mikey?
Nah. I'm actually surprised it's 20 points, but I'll take the over on that.
I already know Drew's going to go with he probably would have put the line at 40. He would still take Notre Dame.
No. See, that's what happens when you're a Notre Dame fan. You always put the line super high, and then for whatever reason, we're looking at Ian Brooke trying to score down by 4 in the 4th. I don't know why it happens. I'm not trying to jinx us, but it's just, yeah, of course, mentally 40, of course. But, yeah, I'll take the over. I'm just going to stay true to my colors, and I really do think it's, Yeah, 20 is not bad. If it was like 25 or some weird number up in the 30s, I'd probably go with the under just because it's week 1.
But that's the
Yeah.
beauty of college football, right? You know you're supposed to win, but you end up being down or up by 4 by that team that you're supposed to win by 40. It happens.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Fighting Irish as well. Our next game we're going to be talking about is going to be the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets versus the Florida State Seminoles. This will be the first game for the Seminoles in the Mike Norvell era. Let's talk about it. Who do you think wins? Do you think Georgia Tech can beat the Noles?
I really don't like FSU this year. And to me, I have, that's our rival as a Miami fan, and we hate their guts, but I respect FSU as much as anybody else. Or I guess you could say an FSU team, but this team just looks like it's unraveled. And Georgia Tech, they took it to us last year as a Miami fan. They beat us, and they have a new offense. They got rid of that wing T offense. So I want to say Georgia Tech is going to – I don't know if they're the favorites, but I'm picking Georgia Tech on that game.
Drew?
I got Florida. I'm going a different direction. This is actually good that we actually get a little bit different direction. I'm going with FSU. Yep. Seabass is probably, cheering for me on right now. But yeah, no, I like Florida State over Georgia Tech. I like them at home against the Jackets. Yeah, home field advantage. We'll just go with that one.
All right, so Florida State's so I'm going to go with the Noles, but they have the line at 12. Florida State wins by 12. I don't see it that much. I could see it being a field goal game because, let's face it, Florida State has been atrocious the past few years. And Georgia Tech has some, there's some potential there. I like Jeff Collins as a coach. He was a coach at Florida. He was a defensive coordinator before he started becoming the head coach, and look what he's become since then. But I'm still going to go with the Noles, but I think they just, they squeak out a win. And we're going to go to the next game. It's Missouri State versus Oklahoma. They don't even have a spread for this game because this game could be really bad. How many points do you think Oklahoma's going to beat Missouri State? 40, 50?
It's going to be interesting to see, man. We got Riley, we got a new quarterback, but then again, this, your coach is just the quarterback whisperer. I know you talk about Dan Mullins a lot, but Oklahoma's going to beat them, and they're going to beat them big, and it's going to be fun to watch that team go off Saturday. So Oklahoma's my pick.
I got 56 for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think the final score of that game ends up being like 66-7. Like they get a garbage time touchdown when Oklahoma puts on their walk-ons. Next game,
reverse senior night.
Yeah. Get senior night out of the way. Let's go. All right, now the next game, it will be the number 1 Clemson Tigers on the road against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. They will be without Jamie Newman, as Jamie Newman was supposed to be a Georgia Bulldog, but earlier last week he declared for the NFL draft and decided to opt out of the season. Let's talk about it. Clemson, we're all going to pick Clemson. I know it. If you're not picking Clemson, then why did you have them in your college football playoff? So Clemson is favored by 33 points. Are you going to give Clemson – you're going to give Clemson 30? You're going to give Wake Forest 33, or do you think it's going to be a little bit closer, starting with Mikey?
One thing that I didn't talk about when we were talking about the college football playoffs and Clemson, in my opinion, being the number 1 team, they lost Justin Ross, and that's somebody that is a big playmaker on that offense. Trevor Lawrence is a playmaker himself. I do think they will cover those 33 points. They might go over that, in my opinion. But you do lose a little bit of that playmaking ability at wide receiver, so these guys have to step up. I do think that the 33 will be fine, though.
Yeah, so let me just reiterate this and just make sure that Clemson has to cover 33, right?
Yes.
All right, so I think Wake Forest is going to hold them for 28, so I'm going to go with the under. I just feel like Clemson, knowing where they're at, and Wake Forest has been building defensively over the couple of years and just been an interesting, I think it's going to be something interesting to look out for. I'm just gonna go with the under on that one.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Clemson, and I'm gonna give Wake Forest the 33 points. Yeah, I think Clemson's just so much better than everybody else than them, especially everybody else in their conference. And Mikey, they did lose Justin Ross, but they do have a former five-star receiver who was originally committed to Florida, is from Miami, Frank Ladson Jr. He played a little bit last year. He's a kid that I think immediately replaces him. I mean, when you look at Clemson's receivers, you lost your top guy. Yes, it hurts. Justin Ross is a difference maker. Probably would have been a first round pick this NFL draft. Who knows what his NFL future is going to be like? But they just it's pretty much just they're reloading. They don't have to rebuild.
The way that team works, man, especially on that defensive line, they're going to be scary for years. And every year it looks like there's always a 5-star that comes in and replaces them, and they always produce.
Yep. All right. So 2 more games. We're going to go focus on the Big 12. We're going to go with the first one, Tulsa versus Oklahoma State at 7:30 on ESPNU. Oklahoma State is 21.5-point favorites. Are we going to all go with the Cowboys, or do we think Tulsa can pull off the upset?
Don't think Tulsa pulls up an upset. I haven't seen Tulsa be good in a while. So Oklahoma State, and you hit it the nail on the head when you're talking about Oklahoma State going into that conference. They were a close pick for me. I ended up choosing Texas, but like you said, Hector, that running game is off the chart. And I was looking into them, and they're a really good team. But Oklahoma wins big to end this game as well.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer, Oklahoma State. I mean, they might actually make a little run and a little noise in the in that conference, but yeah, I don't see Oklahoma State's gonna cover that spread too. Definitely over Tulsa.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna give Oklahoma the points. I mean, I'm gonna give Tulsa the points. To be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen Tulsa play a football game, but I think Chuba Hubbard is gonna have a nice day. I think he might even rush for like a nice little 200 yards with 2 to 3 scores. Who knows? We'll see. And the final game we're gonna be talking about, they don't have a spread here, but at 8 o'clock on the Longhorn Network, it will be University of Texas El Paso versus the Longhorns. So we're gonna go horns up or horns down. What do you got, Mikey?
Horns up. I'm never doing this again, but horns up on that game.
All right. Well, what do you think the score? What do you think? How much do you think Texas wins? They don't have a spread here, so I can't give you a number. So
I mean, sometimes I never watch a UTEP game, but you always see them, and sometimes they'll score every now and then. They're not the best team, but Texas is with Sam Hoger. I'm sorry, Ham Hoger. Longer. I can't even say his name right, but when he's coming back, I think he has a strong year, and this is like another warm-up game for Texas, and I think Texas wins big. I think they'll win by 30.
Drew?
Hook 'em horns, baby. We got Texas. Yes, I see them being Utah. I mean, that's not – yeah. All that is a stepping stone when we're going to see a great high over 100 over-under when they go against Oklahoma. Those games are always fun. I think this is just a stepping stone. I definitely got Texas. Hook 'em horns, baby.
All right, so actually I did find a spread. It's not Vegas. It's something else called William Hill Sportsbook. They do have a spread, and they got Texas favored by 42.5 points. I'm actually going to give Tulsa the points. I do not trust Texas. It has more to do with Texas than it has to do with UTEP. I think the Longhorns win. I think they could probably win by 30, but I'm going to say El Paso finds a way to, cover their part of the spread. And with that said, that's the end of this segment. Thank you all for listening. Mikey, any final words before your Canes play UAB? And remember, you are being recorded.
Listen, I'm just excited. I'm going to be out there at the game, like I said earlier. I can't wait to see this team perform. I can't wait to see what young guys go out there on the field and perform. UAB isn't – I know, Drew, you said that you saw the game and, they didn't look too spectacular. But, yeah, as you know, I know, as a Miami fan, you can't take anybody lightly. You never know what's going to come up. But this is a new year for us, for Miami. this is something that we're going to see that's brand new as well with the offense and brand new when it comes to people in the defense. So I'm excited for this whole entire season. I'm glad that college football is back. It's probably one of the best times of year when it comes to being a sports fan. So I can't wait to get this year started. Let's see how this year progresses, man.
Drew?
You know, it's trap season. I do not want to hear next week that some blue team somewhere out on the East Coast beat some other team in the Midwest that's a green team. You know, Notre Dame's not a top 5 team. They're a 10, you know, and that's usually where we see these big traps come out, is because we never know those mid-pack teams. But, you know, hopefully Notre Dame, you know, touchdown Jesus, he's going to look over the field, bless us all those 20% spectators that are coming in. Lord, please bless us, oh Notre Dame.
All right, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you again for listening to this part of the segment. Sebastian, take over. Talk to you guys later.